welcome to our presentation. I will begin. It's just a few minutes after 4 o'clock, so hopefully everyone is here who wants to be here for our presentation. So just to start off, a few little housekeeping things before we begin the actual presentation. We are all working from home, so there might be some distractions, some noises kind of going on. I live on a busy street, so you might hear a siren in the background. I'm not sure how well the mic picks that up, but we are doing our best working from home. There is also a Q&A and chat section down on the bottom of your screen. We do definitely encourage you to use the Q&A and ask as many questions as you have about the kinesiology program, because this is your chance. We actually have a student in the program joining us as well, so we'll get to introductions soon, but please use the Q&A section for any questions you have about the kinesiology program, about Lakehead, residents, deadlines, and more. You can also use the chat as well. Rebecca is going to be behind the scenes. I'll let her introduce herself in a sec, but as well, again, thank you so much for joining us, and I will begin with welcoming you officially to our kinesiology presentation. So this is a part of a series of presentations that we have going on for different programs. So hopefully you're in the right presentation. Everyone in the audience is very interested in the kinesiology program and about learning more about what it takes, mission requirements, what classes look like, and things like that as well. So to start off introductions, my name is Erin and I am an undergraduate recruitment advisor. I've been with the university since February, right before we kind of all started working from home. And just a few little spots on campus that I had forgotten to take off from a high school visit, but feel free to read them as well. My position, I go into schools. I talk about the different programs that we offer around Lakehead University, and I help with answering questions about residents, deadlines, life on campus, and more. But I'm going to hand it off to my colleague to kind of introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. My name is Rebecca. I am also an undergraduate recruitment advisor. So my role, much like Erin, is school-wide, university-wide, both campuses. Any questions that you're going to have that are not super specific to kin, that's not why I'm here. I'm here behind the scenes today, so if you have any questions, Q&A or chat, please feel free. I'll do my best. If I can't answer it, I'll let Hannah or Leanne answer it. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you have fun.
And so the whole reason that you guys are here is to learn from faculty that we have, and we have a student behind the scenes, so I will let them introduce themselves as well.
Hi, I'm Leanne. I am the Practice of Kinesiology and Community Placement Coordinator in the School of Kinesiology. I also have been teaching a first-year course, and I have a couple fourth-year courses that I facilitate. One is career exploration. I'm also the third-year academic advisor, so I'm involved in a lot of different ways. You will see me a lot if you join our program. I'll hand it over to Hannah.
Hey guys, so my name's Hannah. I'm in my fourth and final year of the kinesiology program. I'm from Thunder Bay, so I am going to university at home. I did some extracurriculars. I played hockey my first 2 years at Lakehead, and my third year I got to study abroad in Singapore.
Thank you, Leanne and Hannah. So I'm just going to go through some of our recruitment slides before I hand off the presentation to Leanne to talk more about kinesiology, but just want to let everyone know a little bit about Lakehead University. We are one of Canada's top 10 universities according to Maclean's magazine. We have over 8,500 students from over 80 countries around the world. So we have about 7,000 students at our Thunder Bay campus and about 1,500 students at our Aurelia campus. We are the #1 undergraduate research university in Canada. And so this is really great for a lot of different programs. You don't have to wait until your master's or your PhD to really involve yourself in a lot of that research, that hands-on learning opportunities to apply that learning that you've had in the classroom to real world experience. We do also have a number of one-of-a-kind programs, whether it's our water resource science program, some of our Indigenous language courses, and that's close to my heart and close to a lot of students' hearts as well who really choose Lakehead, is that 90% of our classes have fewer than 60 students, and having a small class size, there's such a huge advantage to that for so many students as well. We do also, as you go to school, the light at the end of the tunnel, hoping to get that dream career and knowing that the education that you're getting is really going to provide that stepping stone to get your dream career. And we're happy to report that 96.7% of our graduates are employed within 2 years of graduation after leaving Lakehead. And so without further ado, I am actually going to pass the presentation on to Leanne. So she's going to share her screen and go through her presentation for you guys.
Great. I just need you to, it says
Oh.
I don't have permission.
1 second here.
And I apologize, I have a bird. She's been very quiet, but hopefully she doesn't squawk in the middle of this.
Just trying to see where it lets me here. Rebecca, do you have hosting duties? Are you able to make Leanne a host or co-host? I know that you had started the webinar here for us.
Sure thing.
Perfect. So Leanne, you are a co-host. You should be able to share your screen.
Got it. And okay, so here we go. I'm going to go through and cover a few things about our School of Kinesiology. First, probably important for you to know, like probably most of you do since you're applying for kinesiology. What is kinesiology? It's the study of human movement, and it can be applied in a number of different areas, including sport, work, rehabilitation, exercise, and recreation. A lot of people forget about the work and rehab side of things, but you can apply that study in so many different areas. Whoops. Sorry, moved along a little too quick. So here at Lakehead, we have a number of different degree options. You can do the 4-year HBK, so Honors Bachelor of Kinesiology. The 5-year Honors Bachelor of Kinesiology with a co-op option. So that means you spend an extra year getting work experience. There's four-month co-op work terms that you would do. They're paid work terms. You're working for an employer, getting some experience. So then when you graduate, you actually have that 1 year of experience that many employers are looking for. There's also an option to get the kin degree along with a Bachelor of Education. So you would graduate with 2 degrees and you'd be prepared to become a teacher. You can do that in the regular 6-year program. So you complete most of your kinesiology degree in the 4 years, or you complete all of it. You'll do a couple of education courses during that time, but then you have the last 2 years to focus on that. We also have an accelerated option, which means you can get it all done in 5 years. So with that option, you have to have a little bit higher average for coming in, but you would also do courses during the spring and summer terms so that you can get that extra year in a 5-year span instead of 6. And then we also have a number of college transfer pathways. So if you've gone to college in a health promotion and OT or PT assistant program, there's ways that you can possibly get a year of your 4-year program reduced. So you're down to 3 years to completing. In general, admission requirements, from grade 12, you need to have an English course and a math course, preferably the calculus or vectors. They will accept data management, but you might have a little bit more challenging time once you get into biomechanics if you're coming in with just that course. Hannah might be able to talk about that when she talks later. And then you have to have 2 additional science courses, and that can include anything from the biology, physics, chemistry, or the Intro to Kinesiology course. The more the better. People always ask which course is the best to have. I could argue that any of them are the best to have. You're going to have biology throughout. You will have a chemistry course in first year, so having that Grade 12 chemistry preps you well for that. Physics is really important when you're getting into biomechanics. And then the Intro to Kin course, it's got in first year, you're going to have an Intro to Kin course, and a lot of what's covered there you would cover in your grade 12 course. So all of them will be helpful. In addition to that, you need a grade 12 two more grade 12 URM credits. And for admission, you need to have 70% in those top 6 grade 12 courses, and 75% if you want to join the accelerated education, concurrent education program. And then you might also wonder, what kind of courses do you take once you get into our program? Well, I've listed here a number of the required and elective courses. Required, as you might expect, you have anatomy, physiology, and chemistry. And then there's courses in motor development, biomechanics, ergonomics, exercise prescription, the MSK injuries. There's part 1 and part 2. One of them is required, and that's looking at musculoskeletal injuries. Basically, we cover all areas that may influence a human body's ability to move. So you're going to look at it from the pure science perspective, as well as the psych and soc perspective, and kind of everything in between. You will also definitely take a stats and research course, because in your 4th year, you're going to conduct your own research projects. So either in a small group or on your own. So you need to know how to understand stats and research design in order to do that. And Hannah, again, will probably talk to you about what she's got planned for her 4th year project. And then our electives are pretty broad as well. There's opportunities, there's required electives, but then there's opportunities to take electives from programs across campus. And some of those could even lead you to having a minor. There's a number of people who get minors in psych. You could get a business certificate if you want to do the sport management kind of thing, gerontology minor. So there's a lot of options. And why would you want to choose us over other kinesiology programs? Well, one, as Erin spoke to you about already, we do have small class sizes and lab sizes. Our typical first year cohort is anywhere from 80 to 100 people. So in your first year required courses for kin, that would be the most that you would have in your class. But then those classes also have lab components, and in the labs you would have anywhere from 15 to 25 people in those. So you really get a chance. How did I switch? There we go. You get a chance to know your peers, as well as your instructors, all of the faculty members, and it's a good and easy way to connect. In our program, it's not one to join if you're looking at being just a body in the class that no one recognizes. It may take a bit for everyone to remember your names, but you would definitely be recognized, and we'd know. You see you across campus or in class, we know who you are. So I like that component, so you can always connect with someone in the program. We definitely have a lot of practical and community-based opportunities, and it starts right from first year. So in first year, first semester, you will have a lab where you're applying what you've learned in class, you're doing labs. These are with your peers, but then in second semester, you actually apply what you learn by going out into the community. So right away, we're sending you out, and you would meet up with kids in the nursery school that are next door, go to an elementary school, also to high schools. We bring in older adults, and we also bring in real babies. So this relates to a motor development course. It's movement, observation, and assessment. So you learn about growth and development in first semester, and then in second semester, you're actually learning the assessments that would assess people at all those different developmental stages and see how they're developing. And you get to do them in real world populations, not just on your peers. In fourth year, you have the undergrad research project that I spoke about briefly. We have study abroad opportunities. As Hannah mentioned, she went to Singapore. We've had other students go to Australia and to England. So there are a lot of opportunities there. Basically, you pay for your tuition here at Lakehead, but then you go and study in another country. And having that global perspective to your degree when you graduate is really valuable. Something that I don't know if it's something that you really think about right now, just coming in, but the majority of our classes are taught by full-time faculty. So people who are really invested in being researchers in our university. So in many larger schools, you might find that it's TAs or contract lecturers who aren't around all the time. We have some courses that are taught by contract lecturers like myself, but I am here all the time. So you get people who are really invested in your education. We also have we're one of the only co-op kinesiology programs across Canada. So with that option, again, you get to work and make some money and get some experience while you're completing your degree. And how could we forget, we're located in beautiful Northwestern Ontario. So if you like the outdoors, this is the place to be. You just have a 5-minute drive outside of town and you're into the forest. You have lots of opportunities to engage in outdoor activity and all seasons. In the winter, we may get chilly, but there's so much sun that it just encourages you to get outside and play. And then we're definitely one of the only programs that has a 4th-year outdoor experience component. This is a required component. It's not for a grade, but it's required for you to graduate, and it's a time for you to actually connect with each other and get outdoors. This year, particularly, it was really something accepted by our students because they didn't have much time to get out, and realized when they did get out and get away, and we had to do in small groups this year, but you got to connect and be in nature and realize how nice it is to exercise and get in the fresh air and disconnect from screens and just enjoy that and appreciate it. Hannah did that this year as well too, so she's got lots of information she can add. And then once you have this degree, what do you do with it? I know when I was going to school, that was always a question. What in the world are you going to do with a kinesiology degree? And I'm happy to say there are so many things you can do with this degree. It's more a matter of where your imagination stops. Because you're learning about your body, there's so many different professions that relate to that. So for one, you could, as I mentioned, become a school teacher. You could go on and become a professor if you wanted, and focus more on the research side of things. But even without getting into a university, you could do research in some other locations. One of our profs was hired by, I believe it was Nike for a while, doing some research there. So there are definite options there. We are for sure one of the top pre-degrees for many health professions. So if you want to get into medicine, physiotherapy, occupational therapy, osteopathy, physician assistant programs, anything like that that requires an undergrad degree, kinesiology is a great one to choose as the foundation because you're learning so much about all different components of human movement of the body. And then just another example that people don't always think about is sales. There's a lot of companies that, sorry about that phone, sell medical devices or in pharmaceutical sales and things with diabetic care and all of that. You've got the knowledge that can help you do that. So if you're a big talker and good into sales, this is a good foundational degree for that as well. So that's it for my kind of general overview, and now I'd be happy to take any questions that you have.
There is the Q&A section that you're more than welcome to ask those questions of faculty. We have a faculty member here to answer all of those burning questions you have about the program. And as I mentioned earlier, we're working from home. So thank you, Leanne, for working through any distractions that happen. We're doing our best to kind of work through those. As we wait for questions to kind of come through, I do have some questions for Hannah. Maybe you can talk about your first or your fourth year project and just sort of kind of what it's about and the research that really goes into it.
Yeah, so I'm in the course that's called 4230. So it is a group thesis. So I'm in a group with 2 other students. And my main topic is pretty much sports psychology. So the past, I guess, 3 months already of school now, we've been whittling down our big interests and trying to find our main topic. And my group actually this past week, we finalized our topic. So it might sound maybe a bit overwhelming because you guys aren't used to hearing these necessarily terminologies and stuff, but my group is doing the relationship between shame, body dissatisfaction, and motivation to exercise in university-aged males. So now, going forward, we're starting our ethics application. So you have to submit this big application to a board for them to approve your thesis. And then next semester, we really get to start doing our data collection and interacting with our population that we've chosen, getting all the information. And then we get to analyze all that information and turn it into our own thesis.
I don't know if we have any questions, Rebecca, from the Q&A. If
We
not,
certainly do.
I'm more than happy to ask Hannah more questions, but
One of the questions we have right now is, could you explain more about the co-op program?
Sure. So when you apply to come to our program, you can apply for either the HBK or the HBK co-op. And it really doesn't matter. What I would say is don't apply for both because the admission at entrance is the same for both. If you do apply for co-op right away, it basically flags to me that you're interested in co-op, and I will have you on my list of people to contact. But actual admission into co-op doesn't happen until second year. So what would happen is you complete your first year, then you apply in the fall of second year for co-op. Your entrance into co-op is based on your performance in your first year kin classes. So you need to have a 75% average or higher in your 5 intro kin courses. And if you're accepted, then you apply then. We start to look for jobs in the winter of your second year. And then your first work term would be in the summer between second and third year. So you do a 4-month work term then. Then you come back to school for third year. And then beginning the summer between third and fourth year, you would have at least 3 consecutive work terms where you go out and you can work with the same employer, you can work at 3 different employers. You could actually do 4 additional work terms. And after that, you come back for your final 4th year and you complete your degree and you graduate with a co-op designation. So in terms of getting the work, it's a joint effort. We're a smaller program, so we don't have the matching system that happens with some universities. But you would go out and be searching yourself for jobs. I would also be looking for possible opportunities. Like we have set employers up here that regularly offer co-op, but you can look for a job across the province or the country. It doesn't matter, as long as we find something that's suitable. Then you can take that employment opportunity. So that's it kind of in general. If you have any more specific questions, just let me know.
I think we might have another if Rebecca has one.
I think someone's psychic. Leanne, as you said the sentence of you can do it co-op wherever you want, we got the question, are distance co-ops an option at Lakehead?
Absolutely. And I actually encourage it for the same reason that I encourage study abroad opportunities. If you can work somewhere else, whether it's just another spot in the province, if it works for you to be closer to your home and you have a potential opportunity there, that's great. But if you have an opportunity to try out kin things, say in British Columbia or Alberta, because their kinesiology roles might be slightly different, I think it's fantastic if you can do that. So for sure, if what they've got to offer is valuable, so by valuable, I would get a description of what they might offer for you. And as long as they're not going to say, yeah, we will hire this co-op student and they will sweep the floor for 20 hours a week, and maybe for 5 hours they'll do something, then as long as it's not something like that, then we'll approve that, in as long as it's associated with kinesiology. And sorry, just to give you some examples, it can be broad. So common ones right here in Thunder Bay, there's a company called MDAC, and they do sleep assessments. And so you would do that and you become a polysomnographer. So you're awake at night when people are coming in to get assessments at night, but you would be reading heart rate data, breathing data. So you might not think of that right away as a kinesiology thing, but it's definitely relevant. We've had a student do a placement with a company here that has the big ships that send grain out across the country, and they actually work there doing physical demands analyses and some workplace wellness activities. Another student did something with the Ontario Power Generation as part of their refurbishment program. Again, that was based on kind of workplace wellness. And then we've had more kind of rehab settings. So there are all different options.
That was actually going to be one of my follow-up questions, and then you kind of jumped right into it. Not sure if we have any more Q&As, but I do have more questions for Hannah. Doesn't look like we have any more. All right. Hannah, if you can explain or tell us kind of about your overseas experience and being in Singapore and taking courses as part of the kinesiology program there.
Yeah, sure. So to be completely honest, my first 2.5 years of being in the program, I had no idea it was a possibility for us in kin. I just thought because our program is pretty specific that maybe across the country or across the world where I went, it's not going to be the same. And I thought there was no hope for that, but turns out I was very wrong. So I decided to go as far away as possible. So I did go to Asia. I went to Singapore, and it was an amazing it did get cut short due to the pandemic, but that's okay. But for the time I was there, it was amazing. I was learning pretty much everything you would learn at Lakehead, just in a different context, in a different setting, getting to work with different profs and different students, which was really cool to me because they just had their own way of learning than we would in Canada or even North America. Yeah, it was really amazing. And the classes in Singapore, I'm not positive about the other options for kin, but my classes transferred that I would be taking third year at Lakehead perfectly. They were the exact same courses, and I would touch base with my friends back home while we're doing the same courses on different sides of the world, and the content we were learning was almost identical, and I never felt like when I came home I was behind at all. So if you can do it, I really suggest doing it.
What was your favorite course that you've taken so far? What's kind of your favorite topic in kinesiology?
Sure. My favorite course was actually, Leanne touched on it, motor development in first year. That is the community placement kind of course. It was really cool being able to take what we learned and go into high schools, elementary schools, getting to work with an older population and babies, and getting the opportunity to do certain assessments and fitness testing on them. It kind of made you feel, you are an adult in university, but it made you feel like an older adult kind of, because you're getting to practically use the skills that you just learned. My favorite course though I think was anatomy. Anatomy is difficult, I'm going to be honest, but you're obviously getting into kinesiology because you're interested in learning and about the human body and how it moves and all the systems, and getting able to actually learn the content and what all that means really teaches you to appreciate what you're learning, and it makes you feel really educated and like you're supposed to be here. So yeah, that was my favorite for sure.
I don't know if Rebecca, there's any more questions. Anyone from the audience, again, this is your chance to, we have a student joining us to ask those questions and have that student voice and know what it's like to be actually, you know, in the program, seated in that seat. I do have kind of a question to put you on the spot, Hannah. What is some advice that you would give to a student coming into first year for the kinesiology program?
Sure. Some advice. I would say be very open-minded. I know going into kinesiology, like Leanne mentioned, there is that, what am I going to do with my degree? And in first year, you're really getting, especially with the intro to kin class, you're really getting a look on all the possibilities, and it gets overwhelming knowing what you want to do. But I can tell you, if you stick with it, if you're passionate about kin or the human body, you're going to find light at the end of the tunnel. I'm halfway through my 4th year and I'm still not positive what I'm doing next, but I'm okay with that. I'm not stressed out. I know I'm exactly where I need to be in my education. And yeah, just don't let it overwhelm you.
Leanne, I'm going to pose the same question for you. I saw you nodding through Hannah's, though I know that you probably have similar answers.
I was just gonna add, like, that is the attitude you need to have, because if you come in and I'm only doing this for this one goal, and say for whatever reason that goal doesn't work out, maybe academically you don't have the grades to get where you want to be, or maybe you get to that point, and this has happened, you do some volunteering, get some placements and go, oh, that is not what I thought that profession was going to do for me, and I don't want to do that anymore. And that is also okay. Like, that's great, but there are a lot of opportunities. So it's just really about being open-minded and doing wherever it kind of leads you there. And from my perspective, I don't think you can ever go wrong with the kin degree, because even if you choose to go somewhere else afterwards, you've got a degree that teaches you all about this thing, the human body, that you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life. So knowing about that in itself is very valuable.
Awesome. Rebecca, I know I saw a couple notifications pop up on some questions. I'm just checking in with you if any of them are for answering live.
Yes, of course. This might be one for Hannah, depending. How difficult would first year be without having taken physics in grade 12?
I can answer that. I mean, taking physics, I personally did not take physics in high school. And I would say maybe if you have the opportunity to take it, it wouldn't hurt. If you can't take it because you already have too many courses going, you're not going to be super lost. For second year, you take a class called Biomechanics. And in Biomechanics, you do use some principles, I guess, of physics. But the profs at Lakehead are so great. They're going to help you through it. The content is going to lead you to success in it, and you won't be too lost if you choose not to take it. That's my opinion.
I was gonna, if I can add in, yes, I'm glad you hit about profs, because in particular, the prof for biomechanics, he is so helpful and really wants people to succeed in understanding. He's passionate about biomechanics and he wants people to succeed in biomechanics. So if basically the only barrier for it there is your communication. If you ask for assistance, then you'll get it. If you don't ask, then that's kind of on you. But that Dr. Zerpa is really, really good at providing that extra support if someone comes in without a physics background.
Perfect. Rebecca, are there any more questions?
We do.
Okay.
What is the pathway after getting a kinesiology degree to be a physical therapist?
Basically, you complete your degree and you apply to a physio school. So there's a number of them in Ontario. There's others across the country, and then there's some outside of the country. So our degree prepares you well for applying to any program within Ontario. But I always suggest, because admission requirements change all the time, that you check in with whatever school you're interested in applying to, find out what their admission requirements are. And if there's anything in that admission requirement that isn't covered in our core required courses, then you just make sure you take those courses as your electives. So you have room to take electives. And I think there's a couple programs that might ask for some specific additional science courses that might not be our core required courses, but you can take those. They would be available at the university, so you can take those additional courses. So that's basically it.
All right, one more question here. Same concept as the last one. How challenging can it be if you only take data management?
I can answer a bit. If you only take data management?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't take data management in high school. I took, I think it was called calculus or grade 12 vectors or whatever that one was. I took that one. I didn't take data management. Some of my friends did in the program, and I mean, I think it would help a little bit when you get into stats, just because some of the stuff you learn in stats kind of comes from that. And I didn't have that exact knowledge. But again, like Leanne mentioned, like I mentioned, the profs are going to help you through the harder parts of the program. So you're going to be okay, but you should try to take the calculus math over data management, I would suggest.
Yeah, it definitely helps you for, again, for biomechanics. So if you were to enter without physics and without, with data management and no other math course, you would find biomechanics very challenging. So ideally don't have, if you have data management, try to take physics, or vice versa, or not, maybe not vice versa, sorry. But again, you've got Dr. Zerpa, he's gonna help you out, but to make life easier for yourself, have at least physics or the calculus.
Perfect. Rebecca, any other questions from behind the scenes?
We do.
Awesome.
If I want to go to medical school, does kinesiology give me as good of a chance to be accepted as a biology degree would?
Absolutely. We are actually getting really good feedback from, especially from our local medical school, the Northern Ontario School of Medicine. I wish I had the percentages, but a large percentage, and actually a growing percentage, of the people that they're accepting are coming out with or entering NOSM with kin degrees. And that's both at the Lakehead campus and the Sudbury campus. I have a former colleague who's also a graduate of our kin program, who's in her second year of med school right now. And what she has said is that where the people who have pure science degrees will have the advantage is when it comes to courses that are pure science. Like when getting into that chemistry review was tough at med school. That's probably because our students take chemistry in first year, and you don't necessarily have to take it again. You could take some electives to help prepare you more, but where we have the advantage is I've heard both from students who are in NOSM as well as some faculty members who teach components of the medical school program, that our students have a much more in-depth anatomy experience and knowledge than many of the other people in med school. So you're really well prepared there. And having those other psych and social components, because, you know, humans aren't all about just biology and chemistry. We do have the mind and other aspects of us that impact our health. So if you come in and have that well-rounded education, I think that's why Kin is preparing students well for med school.
If I could touch on that too, for the anatomy, the one that you take with kinesiology, there is a lab component of it versus I know some other programs, I believe nursing, you don't get a lab part of the anatomy. So that means you're in a lab separate from the lectures that you're sitting learning the content, and you're hands-on learning the different muscles, systems, bones on physical objects. You're looking at them and you're going to be able to label those perfectly clear. I just wanted to add that.
That's awesome.
Sorry, I was just going to add too with our MSK, that's another component. One of our profs teaches an MSK component to the med school students, and what you learn in med school is this big compared to the whole curriculum of a KINS MSK, musculoskeletal injuries course. So, and yeah, that course is just kind of a common thing in kinesiology programs.
Perfect.
That's great. Hannah, we've got a two-part question here for you. First is, what is your favorite part of the program, and what is your favorite part of the school?
Okay, my favorite part of the program, I know it's very repetitive from Lakehead as a whole, but the small classes and labs really is so beneficial to your learning and your education. You get to build like really good relationships with your profs, other students, just constantly working off one another, learning from each other. And a really big thing too with the small class sizes is Leanne mentioned it, you develop really good relationships with your prof. Because I know coming into first year, it is scary having to ask that first question to a prof or feeling sometimes embarrassed or just worried that you're maybe saying the wrong thing. I know I felt like that all the time, but you get to a point where you have such a good relationship with them, you're not afraid to ask them anything. I ask all my profs 100 questions and I don't feel embarrassed about it. So that's my favorite part of the program, I would say. And just the content, obviously. What was the other part of that?
What is your favorite part of the school?
Well, I guess it's different for everyone, but I do live down the street. I'm at home, so I like that I'm close. Lakehead isn't a huge campus, but I enjoy that. You really can spend your full day there. There's lots of places to get food on campus, lots of study spaces, an extra 5-minute walk, you're at the gym, or you're at our facility with the track, the basketball courts. Obviously during the pandemic, it's a bit different right now. But yeah, that's my favorite.
Thanks.
Thank you. Leanne, this one's for you. And I think this is going back to your first or second slide in your presentation. Can you explain again the difference between the 70% average program and the 75%? I think I would assume that means the 4th and the 5th year.
Actually, I think the two averages are for concurrent education programs. So entrance into all of our programs, including the 6-year concurrent education program, is 70%. And that is 70% in your top 6. It doesn't have to include, Aaron and Rebecca, you know this more than me, but it's your top 6. So if you have a course that's not on your required list of entrance courses, then they'll count that in your overall average. So you could have, say that physics, and maybe you have a 69 in physics, but you've got a higher course or a higher average in a course that we don't require, then they're going to count those to calculate your entrance average. But then the 75 is required if you want to enter the accelerated 5-year concurrent education program. the average is up a little there because it's really intensive. You're going to school pretty well all year round for 5 years. You have about a month off each year in the summer. And then the exam breaks at the end of each other term. But yeah, it's busy. So we need to make sure that you're committed to going to school a lot in order to enter that one. And I can just speak to the average too. A lot of people for schools in Southern Ontario where the density of population and number of schools available is different than up here. The actual, so posted averages are similar to ours, but their actual averages may be higher just because of competition. There's only so many spots to fill. And when you have that many more applications for people who want to stay close to home, then that entrance average will go up. But our entrance average, I think for last year, so the actual average of students was in the 80s, and still, if you had 70, you'd still get in, but our actual overall average of people who just happened to apply was in the mid 80s.
Thank you.
Hopefully that answers.
I hope so. Rebecca, any other questions?
We do not have any more questions at this moment. I'm hoping as soon as I say it out loud, some will come through.
Because we have 10 minutes left until around the end of our presentation. So if anyone does have any last minute questions, I am going to kind of go through kind of wrapping up and thanking everyone for being here. We do have some upcoming recruitment events. We have an open house coming up in December, the evening of December 9th. So for anyone who does have any other questions beyond this webinar, you're able to ask the faculty those questions or to jump in and ask admissions questions, financial aid. We will have representatives from different parts of the university as well. So registration will be opening up soon on our website. You just have to go to lakeheadu.ca, and for our last open house, it was just kind of along the top bar of our website there, and thinking it'll be in the same spot this year. We do also have opportunities to connect one-on-one with some of our recruiters. We do one-on-one booking appointments through our 10 to 8 booking app. So at lakeheadu.ca/upcoming, you're able to view some of the other events we have going on, but then also see on the bottom of the page the section to book an appointment with us. Our schedules are reflected in that appointment. So we're not going to double book you over lunch or another appointment. That appointment spot is specifically for you. I do see some other questions popping up, Rebecca. I'm going to see if there's anything else before I kind of move to, to ending here.
It's a question for you, Erin.
Oh.
Can you touch on scholarships for a hot second? Please.
For sure. So we do have entrance scholarships available to our students coming in from high school, and those are based on academic averages. So our entrance scholarships start at an 80% academic average and then go up to 95 and above. So it really depends on what you're coming into university with of that final average. Really great when we assess your first transcript. If you have an 86% and you're in that one bracket for awards, I believe it's $1,250 for that bracket. And when we get your final transcript in end of June, beginning of July, and maybe you've bumped down to an 81%, you still get to keep that 86% average, the award that we would have given you for that. It is a scholarship that you don't have to apply to. It gets automatically applied to your tuition, and it really helps out a lot of students with offsetting some of those costs. It is renewable as well, so if you do continue to get that average, you do continue to get that scholarship as well. We do also have a number of other awards. We have our travel bursary award. We have a campus tour bursary award in usual years. This year, unfortunately, campus tours are on hold, but in a normal year, we do have a campus tour bursary. We do have a presidential scholarship. We're actually number 2 in awards, scholarships, and bursaries. And so we have so many awards to offer students. We have over $11 million in scholarships, awards, and bursaries every year to offer students. So there's always something out there that students can apply to, and every little bit helps to offset those costs. hopefully that answered your questions. Kind of a quick little blurb on scholarships without having my slides up to really go through a lot of those brackets and processes. Does anyone else have any other questions, or if Hannah and Leanne, if you have anything else that you want to add about the program or really want students to know about the kinesiology program? No? Okay. So we are going to wrap up. Thank you both to Hannah and Leanne so much for joining us today, and thank you for everyone in the audience for all of your wonderful questions and for joining us for this past hour as well. And I hope that everyone has a wonderful rest of the evening. Bye, everyone.